Hi there, let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where you sat down to rest, and suddenly realized hours have passed, but you feel even more tired than before? Maybe it happens after lunch, or in the early evening. Your body's not in pain, your day hasn't been that intense, and yet, it feels like your energy just drained away. Slowly. Silently. If that rings a bell, don't worry, you're not alone. You see, after 60, our bodies and minds begin to respond differently to how we live our everyday lives. What used to be harmless habits when we were younger can quietly become the very things that take away our strength, our focus, and even, yes, our years. In today's video, we're going to gently uncover some of these everyday habits that often sneak by unnoticed, but they're quietly taking more from you than you realize. The good news? You can absolutely stop them, and in most cases, quite easily. Let's begin with something that might surprise you. It often seems harmless, even cozy, but it's far from it. You know that feeling when you wake up and the house is still quiet, so you pour a cup of coffee, sit in your favorite chair, maybe turn on the TV or scroll a bit on your phone, and the morning just drifts by? Well, the first habit we need to talk about is passive mornings. Now, I'm not saying you have to jump out of bed and run a marathon. No one's asking you to train like an athlete. But the truth is, spending the first couple hours of your day in low energy, low motion sets a pattern for the whole day. Your brain registers that slow start and it says, "Oh, today's a slow day." Then your body follows along. Muscles get lazy. Blood flow slows down. And before you know it, your body is sending signals like, "Hey, let's just stay like this all day." The result? Your energy dips, your joints stiffen, and even your mood can begin to sink. It becomes a quiet spiral that repeats every morning unless we interrupt it. So what can you do? Try this instead. When you wake up, give your body just 10 minutes of intentional movement. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just standing up, stretching your arms above your head, swinging them gently side to side, maybe walking slowly around your home while you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. It's like telling your brain, "Hey, I'm awake, I'm alive, and today's a day worth moving for." You'd be amazed how quickly that changes your entire mood, and even your memory and alertness throughout the day. Let's move on because there's another habit that works quietly behind the scenes, and it starts not with our body, but our thoughts. Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "I guess I'm just getting old," or, "At my age, what do you expect?" Now listen, it's okay. That kind of talk is everywhere. TV shows, jokes, even doctors sometimes say it without meaning harm. But over time, that small habit of self-talk, saying, "I'm too old for that," becomes something deeper. It becomes a kind of mental permission to shrink, to retreat from life. And once that takes hold, something heartbreaking happens. Your world starts getting smaller. Fewer walks, fewer phone calls, less curiosity, less laughter. And the worst part? You may not even notice it happening. Because this isn't about what you can't do, it's about what you stop trying to do. So here's a small, powerful change. Catch yourself the next time those thoughts show up. And just ask, is that really true, or is that just something I heard enough times to believe? Because chances are, you're capable of a lot more than your thoughts give you credit for. And breaking that thought habit, it's like opening the window and letting life back in. Now, I want to gently bring up another habit, one that feels like the opposite of what we've just talked about, but it's just as sneaky. It's over-planning and over-control. You might be thinking, wait, isn't that a good thing? Being organized, staying on top of things? Absolutely, structure is great. But here's where it becomes a trap. When every day becomes so tightly planned, so routine, that there's no room for surprise, no spark of spontaneity, life begins to feel flat. Without moments of wonder, joy slowly fades. After 60, this becomes more common than most people think. You might hear someone say, "I eat the same breakfast, watch the same shows, walk the same street, go to bed the same time." Routine is safe, but too much of it dulls your senses and your joy. So here's a little idea to breathe fresh air into your week. Intentionally do one small thing differently every few days. Try a new fruit at the store. Call someone you haven't spoken to in years. Sit on a different bench. Take a new path home. Let life surprise you even in little ways. It's those tiny cracks in routine that let excitement sneak back in. So far, we've looked at how quiet mornings, limiting self-talk, and rigid routines can chip away at our energy, our motivation, and our sense of aliveness. But there's still more we need to uncover. Because sometimes, it's not just what we do that steals time from us. It's also what we've stopped feeling. Let's explore that together. You know, it's a strange thing. We spend the first half of life chasing more excitement, more work, more responsibilities, more stuff. And then at some point, the balance quietly shifts. And suddenly, we're doing everything we can to feel less. Less pain, less stress, less noise. And while it's absolutely natural to seek peace, here's where the trouble starts, when that peace turns into numbness. See, one of the most silent habits that drains our time and energy after 60 is the slow fading of emotional engagement. It often shows up in small ways, skipping conversations because they feel tiring, brushing off feelings because they won't change anything, or choosing comfort over curiosity. And this isn't about being sad or depressed, not always. It's often much subtler than that. You might be physically fine, mentally sharp, but there's a quiet layer of disconnection growing, like fog rolling in under the door. And that fog? It doesn't just steal your mood. It takes your time. Because days start blending together, moments feel flat, and before you know it, a whole week has passed, and you can barely remember what you felt during it. So how do we clear that fog? Well, it starts by bringing feeling back, and I don't mean just joy or excitement. I mean the full range of being alive. Try this. Once a day, pause for just 1 minute and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Don't judge it. Don't fix it. Just notice it. Naming an emotion, even a quiet one, I feel restless, or I feel peaceful, or I feel a little lonely, connects your heart to your mind. It makes you present again. It brings color back to the moment. And once you're present, even a sip of tea can feel like a little ceremony. Even a walk to the mailbox becomes a chance to breathe fresh air, notice the sunlight, hear the world again. Another habit, one that's far more common than people admit, is the slow shrinking of social connection. Now I get it. Relationships can get complicated over time. People move away. Some pass on. And sometimes it just feels easier to keep to ourselves. But here's the tricky part. We were never designed to live in emotional isolation. Not in our 30s, not in our 60s, and definitely not beyond that. And even if you're someone who enjoys solitude, which is beautiful, we all still need little sparks of human warmth to stay alive inside. So if you've noticed that your phone rings less, your conversations are shorter, or you rarely speak to someone just because you want to, it may be time to gently stretch those muscles again. Start small. Call a neighbor. Send a message to an old friend. Compliment someone at the store. Even a smile at the cashier makes a difference, not just to them, but to you. Because with every act of connection, something special happens. Your nervous system gets a dose of comfort. Your brain lights up. Your body relaxes. And in those brief moments of being seen and heard, you feel young again. Not because of your age, but because you're connected to life. Now let's talk about a habit that's almost invisible, because it hides under the disguise of keeping up. I'm talking about constant information intake, especially the kind that drains more than it fills. Let me ask you, how many times have you reached for your phone just to check something real quick, and then before you know it, 20 or 30 minutes have gone by, but you don't feel better, smarter, or more at peace? In fact, sometimes you feel more anxious, more frustrated, or just more tired. It's not your fault. These devices are designed to be addictive. And while technology can be wonderful, letting us stay in touch, learn new things, even watch videos like this, too much of it, especially when it's passive and mindless, begins to steal hours from our lives without us realizing it. So here's a small shift that can make a huge difference. Give your brain moments of intentional silence. That doesn't mean sitting in a room staring at the wall, unless you enjoy that. It can be as simple as stepping outside with no phone, no music, no podcast. Just you and the sounds of the world. The wind, the birds, your breath. Or maybe it's sitting down with a pen and just letting your thoughts wander onto paper. Not to be productive, just to be present. These small bored moments are not boring at all. They're where your brain reboots, your creativity breathes, your soul gets to speak again. And if you do this regularly, you may find something unexpected. You start remembering things better. You feel calmer. You begin to experience time differently, not rushing by, but opening up like a gentle morning. By now, you're probably starting to sense a pattern. The habits that steal our time after 60, they're not loud. They don't knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm taking years off your life." No, they're much quieter. They sneak in through routine, through avoidance, through distractions. And before we know it, they've settled in like uninvited guests. But you know what? You have the key to show them the door anytime you choose. Because even the smallest changes, a stretch in the morning, a phone call to someone you miss, a breath of air without your phone in hand, can bring you back to the moment. And when you're fully in the moment, you're truly alive. Let's keep walking this path together, because there's more we need to uncover. There are still a few habits, subtle but powerful, that can make all the difference in how we feel, think, and thrive in this chapter of life. There's a story I once heard about a man in his 70s who used to sit by the window every morning, watching the sun rise with a cup of coffee in hand. When someone asked him why he did it, always the same spot, same time, day after day, he smiled and said, "Because I don't want to forget what light feels like." That stuck with me. You see, not all things we lose after 60 are obvious. It's not just hearing or memory or strength. Sometimes what we lose most quietly is wonder. That simple awe we once felt for the world, for small things, for life itself. And one habit that slowly robs us of that wonder, without us even noticing, is routine without renewal. Now don't get me wrong, routines are beautiful. They give life structure. They help us feel grounded. But when a routine becomes so automatic that we stop noticing it, that's when it begins to take more than it gives. Eating the same meals every day, walking the same loop, watching the same TV shows not because we love them, but because they're on. Waking up, going to bed, and letting days blend together in a kind of quiet loop. That's when our inner flame, the one that keeps us curious, engaged, alive, starts to dim. So how do we bring it back? You don't need to climb mountains or jump out of airplanes. Renewal often begins in very small shifts, like brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, taking a different street on your daily walk, listening to a new type of music, trying a dish you've never tasted before. Even switching your seat at the dinner table can change the way you see the room, and that tiny shift can ripple into how you see everything. Because here's the truth, your brain, even now, is still capable of newness. It still wants to grow. It still wants to be surprised. And when you offer it that, even in small ways, you begin to feel younger. Not in age, but in spirit. There's another quiet thief of time that's often overlooked, and it lives in the background of how we talk to ourselves. I'm talking about harsh inner dialogue. Now, we don't often speak of it openly, but many people, especially as they get older, begin carrying an invisible soundtrack in their mind, one that sounds something like, "I should have taken better care of myself. Why do I forget things so easily? I'm too old to try that now. What's the point?" And you know what? These thoughts may feel casual, but they are heavy. Every time they play in your mind, they chip away at your confidence, your energy, your joy. Because even when life gives us more limitations, that doesn't mean we should keep limiting ourselves in our own heads. So let me offer a small practice that can begin changing this habit, one word at a time. Start replacing should with could. Not, "I should exercise more," but "I could go for a walk today, even just a short one." Not, "I should remember things better," but "I could try that memory game again. It was actually kind of fun." Should brings guilt. Could brings possibility. And that one little shift in language? It reopens doors that might have felt closed for years. Because you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to catch up. You just need to be willing and kind to yourself. That's when new life starts. And finally, there's one habit that's so common, so accepted, that we barely notice it anymore. But it's one of the most dangerous of all. It's the habit of postponing joy. You know what I mean. Telling yourself you'll do something fun later, that you'll rest after the chores, that you'll buy the thing you want next month, that you'll take the trip maybe next year. But let me ask you something, when exactly is later? Because one of the hardest lessons people face in their later years isn't about health, or memory, or money. It's regret. Not for what they did, but for what they kept waiting to do. So today, I want to invite you to stop saving joy for special occasions. Because the truth is, life itself is a special occasion. Drink the good tea. Wear the outfit that makes you smile. Light the candle, even if no one's visiting. Take the photo. Call the person. Laugh loudly. Dance if you feel like it, even in the kitchen, even alone. You're not too old. You're not too late. And you are certainly not finished. Every day you wake up, there is a little thread of time waiting for you to weave something beautiful into it. Don't let habits, even the small, sneaky ones, steal those threads away. So if you've made it this far, I want to thank you. Not just for listening, but for being open. Open to change. Open to growth. Open to the idea that even now, especially now, your time is precious, and you still get to choose how you live it. Because yes, some habits do quietly take our time, but just as quietly, we can choose better ones. Ones that give us back our energy, our joy, our presence. And those choices? They don't just add days to your life. They add life to your days. If something in this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, share a habit you've let go of or one you're ready to try. Let's inspire each other. And if this message felt meaningful to you, tap that like button. It helps more people find it. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. And above all, stay curious, stay kind, and stay alive in every beautiful, ordinary, extraordinary moment.